Hi everyone, and welcome to another episode of Inspiring Careers. My name is Dan Johnson and I'm here with another fantastic guest. His name is Alan McIntosh, and he's achieved some fantastic things in his career. First and foremost, he is the author of this 5-star rated Amazon book titled The Successful Coaching Manager, which we're going to have a little bit of a discussion about today. He was one of the first performance coaches in the pharma industry with a company who you know today as GSK, but back then would have been Glaxo Wellcome. And he's won multiple sales manager awards, and he's spoken globally as well as a key speaker at conferences. Good afternoon, Alan. How are you doing?
Afternoon, Dan. I'm good, and you?
I am doing fantastic. Thank you so much for being a guest on today's show. Firstly, I just want to learn a bit about yourself and what brought you to start your journey on writing such a fantastic coaching book. Perhaps you could just tell us, let everyone know a bit about your background and what brought you to that point in your career.
I joined the pharma industry in 1982, straight from university, and did a number of years as a sales executive, and then moved into management. And did a number of managerial roles up until 2001, where I think I had the first of my few midlife crises, and decided to start my own business. In 2001, I started a management development and team development business, and whilst I was looking for business, I started writing articles for various pharma magazines, and compiled all the articles into a book, basically, which I used as a marketing tool. So that's how the book came about, and I was very keen to get a lot of my beliefs around management, and particularly around the power of coaching within management. I was keen to get those ideas across, and a book seemed to be the best way to do it.
Fantastic, and what a great way to do it as well, because as said, now everyone can get a copy of your book and enjoy it and learn about how they can be better managers, and I'm always a big fan of passing on that knowledge, so I think that's a great thing to do. Okay, so let's go into it. So what do you feel most passionate about the role you do? What really drives you to do this role?
There's a number of things, Dan. I think the passion for selling, passion for gaining sales is always there, whether you're a sales executive or a sales manager as well. I like winning. I like winning as a sales team. Also, I'm really passionate about supporting customers and obviously supporting patients to do well on the medicines that we're selling. I think also another passion of mine is very much about implementing what I would call true key account management in pharmaceuticals, and that's my kind of raison d'etre in many respects through the sales management role.
Cool, brilliant. Thanks for sharing that, Alan. So, having been a performance coach for a number of years now, what would you say are your top 3 success secrets that have really helped you in your career?
Top 3 success secrets. I think the first one really that I've learnt through the years is to listen intently to the people you're managing and coaching, listen to your customers, and really through that listening, thoroughly understand the environment that you're working in, understand the pressures that the team are under, understand the motivations that they have. Similarly with customers as well. If we know exactly what the customer's motivations and challenges are, we're in a place to, I suppose, support them to achieve their goals through the use of our medicines and services that we provide as well. So listening and understanding, absolutely crucial. I think the other thing is create change. Wait for change to happen to you. Be a change agent. Create the change that you need in order to do that supporting act of your customers and your team as well.
Excellent. And are there any particular examples you could share with us today where where that change really had a significant impact on a team or on an individual in their sales career? Is there anything that kind of sticks out in your mind that really kind of that really lived through those top 3 success secrets?
Yeah, I think the classic example, and there's two or three examples around this, is that if you look at the pharmaceutical industry and the way it's operated in the past, it's been very much take on sales executives and get them to go out and see as many people as possible, obviously get them focused in on what we would call target customers, but also they're very marketing driven. They've been trained to deliver a whole load of key messages. And what I've done in the past is try to encourage the guys to fully understand the needs and motivations of their customers and then adapt marketing messages to the ones that will resonate best with them. All marketing messages will resonate with customers. There's only, in some instances, might just be one or two, and that's what you have to focus in on. And what you've found is actually when you've worked and you've listened and understood the sales guys, you find out that they want to operate in that sort of fashion where they're really listening and understanding themselves what the customer needs, and then applying the appropriate sales message to that situation. So it's starting to work in a key account management fashion. And actually, when you start to work with sales execs in that fashion, you start to see the lights coming on.
Yeah.
Burden lifted off their shoulders in terms of, actually, I'm not here to shout marketing messages at my customers. I'm actually here to listen, to understand, and to have a two-way collaborative conversation with them. So there's a number of examples like that, and I can think of a few people who have been, let's call it, enlightened by that approach. And I think that, I know that's definitely the way forward if we're going to sell effectively. Approach we have to take.
Now, and this might be quite a difficult question I'm about to ask, but I thought I'd give you a bit of a challenging question. A lot of people who watch our videos sometimes say that they feel quite familiar with the advice, particularly those who are really senior salespeople. Are there any kind of things you would lead on from that? So if someone's been in sales for, say, 15 plus years, you mentioned there about understanding the marketing message, listening and using that to kind of help with a person's sales. But what would you give for someone, say, who might hear that advice and think, well, yeah, I kind of already know that. What is there any one step that someone with, say, 15 plus years could take it a little bit further?
Yeah, good question. I think, it's if they know that, and if they know that is the right approach with their customers, we need to understand what's stopping them doing that more effectively. So trying again to listen to them, to understand and to try and find out what is holding them back from actually taking that approach which they believe is the right approach for them and their customers. So once we know what the barriers are, whether it's previous management approaches, whether it's the way the company operates in terms of its culture, we can look at all these things and actually start to coach the individual round to doing what they believe is right for their business. And hopefully it's the right approach and the results will follow.
Brilliant. Thank you for sharing that, Alan. Thank you. So what has been your best or your most favourite career achievement?
Crikey. There's been a few, I'm glad to say, along the way. The favourite one, I think actually making that leap from having a pretty secure job in a very good company way back in 2001 and making that leap to starting my own business. It was very scary at the time. I did have a lot of belief in myself and I worked very hard at it and was pretty successful over 8 years. I made the decision to go back into the industry to try and take what I'd learned 8 years of being self-employed and also working with other industries outside pharma. And I'm glad to say that, again, that was a very good decision because it stood me in good stead over the last 8 to 9 years that I've been back in the industry. So whilst there was a lot of angst, there were tough times, there were good times, I learnt one hell of a lot from it. And I think it's helped me enormously coming back into the industry.
Was there any one particular challenge or one particular skill area where you look back and think, yeah, that was quite a tough thing to get through, that's quite a tough thing to come over or to learn, that you could share with anyone watching that they might be familiar with, or that you could pass on that experience to them?
There was a good number of learns that I took on board, Dan, throughout the 8 years of self-employment. A few mistakes in there as well. And I think the key thing would be always to be in control of the budgets and the finance. And at the end of the day as well, it doesn't matter what industry you work in, the customers are people. They're the same, and you need to listen to them, you need to understand them, and you need to be seen to be with them in their journey to achieving their goals as well. And I think that's a huge lesson that I took out of self-employment.
And I think that's really, really key as well, because one of the things that, one of the mistakes that I've made in the past is that you're always very eager to show someone what you can do for them, what services that you can provide, what solutions you think would be good. But the reality is, unless you really understand who you're working with, and I prefer to use the term working with and say selling to, until you understand who you're working with, your solutions aren't really going to matter too much to them, because chances are they're probably not going to be quite rightly aligned or quite correct. Would you say that's right in saying so?
I think that's spot on. I think to add to that, it's very important that you understand the environment they work in. You know, you attempt to understand their business, the marketplace that they work in, because the more knowledge you have about that, then the more you're in a position to spot opportunities for business. Yeah. Because a lot of the time, you see customers who can't see the wood for the trees, in that they're so embroiled in their everyday tasks that they lose track of what's happening round about them in their own business. And that's where you can come in and support them to identify the opportunities, which in turn creates opportunities for your own business.
Absolutely. Brilliant piece of advice. Thank you again, Alan. So next question, what has been the best piece of career advice that you received?
Okay. Always have a vision.
Okay.
Have a vision of what do you want to achieve, have that vision, and set goals that will enable you to realise that vision. Once you've set the vision and the goals, you can then work backwards and start to put in place all the everyday actions that you need in order to deliver that vision, but never lose sight of that vision. You may have to adjust your goals on the journey and certainly the everyday actions, but if you've got a firm vision in mind, then work towards it. That's probably the best advice that I've had, both from a business perspective and also when I played in sport as well. It was having that vision as well.
Yeah, because you were quite successful in rugby, weren't you? You captained quite a few larger teams and enjoyed some good rugby times in Scotland, didn't you?
I'll say at an early age, because I was crippled out in my early 20s, but I had the great privilege of being captain of rugby at the University of Glasgow, and then playing for a couple of teams after that. But unfortunately, injury in my kind of early to mid 20s stopped me getting any higher, I'm afraid. Although I went on to do a bit of coaching and refereeing, but that's as far as it got, Dan. Although when I was self-employed, I had the real pleasure of working with a group of guys who worked on team development with the Newcastle Falcons.
Okay.
Where Johnny Wilkinson was playing standoff at the time, and also with my local professional side, the Glasgow Warriors. So that was a great insight into how some of the top sports people actually worked, and it was marvellous to actually work beside these guys.
Excellent, and I'm sure it goes without saying, but I don't doubt that a lot of the lessons that you learned through rugby and performance in rugby, you've carried back or with you throughout your career, I imagine, but probably even more so now, because you mentioned how you've gone back into pharma from your self-employed work. So yeah, I imagine you carry a lot of that with you. Would you agree?
Absolutely. There's a lot of parallel between high performance in sport and high performance in business, in terms of vision, setting goals, having the right mental attitude, resilience, and Yeah, a lot of good sports people go on to be very good business people.
Brilliant. And what's your vision at the moment? So for your current work, would you mind sharing your vision?
Yeah, absolutely. My particular vision is twofold. One is I am continuing on my kind of journey to support the pharmaceutical industry to take a far more business and customer focused approach. There's a lot of talk about patient centric approaches from companies. I would be so bold as to say that a lot of it is just talk at the moment. Yeah. We're not realising it. I think the first step is to enable our customer facing staff to be a lot more business focused, a lot more customer centric, and that comes back to the original talk about listening and understanding, but also taking very much a key account management approach to the way we do business as well. So that's part of my vision for my remaining time in the pharmaceuticals, but also at a local level. I'm determined that the team I manage at the moment, I'm determined that we become the top team again in the company that I work for at the present time, and we're going to do that by being closer to our customers and fully understanding our environment and making sure we've got the right processes support-wise in place for the team members within the team, so as that we support each other in order to be successful as well.
Brilliant. That sounds absolutely fantastic. And if I was working at another company in pharma sales, I'd be worried that your team is coming my way. So you sound absolutely determined, and I love it. Brilliant. Thanks for sharing that, Alan. Okay, cool. So next question. What would you say is the number one thing that you see holding other people back who do the job that you do?
Resistance to change.
Okay.
Number one. There's a lot of capable people out there, a lot of people who have been successful in pharmaceutical sales, both as a sales manager and as sales executives. And what I see is a lot of people clinging on to the old days where, they were told to go out, if you see X number of people a day, then the sales will come in. Access was fairly easy. They had big budgets. They did what marketing told them to do all the time, and in many respects the job was a lot easier. It's different now. It's tougher. There are far more barriers to getting medicines utilised, and you've got to work at each of these hurdles now. It's there are formularies in place there. There are different reimbursement mechanisms. And you've got to fully understand that there are more hurdles and ways to go across these hurdles. So don't just keep harping back to the old days of your 4 or 5 a day and that was it. You've got to embrace change. And I said earlier, you've got to create change as well. We're now in an environment where it really is the opportunity for people to be entrepreneurial. So grasp it. Really realise your potential. That's what I'd say. It's a great industry now to be entrepreneurial in, within the confines of compliance, of course. But don't resist the change. Create the change.
Brilliant. Thank you for sharing that. And I mean, a lot of people often say to me, they say, when I ask, what would be a good video to make? What would be a good topic to discuss? So many people are asking about advice on access at the moment. Now, I know in the recruitment industry that, we have quite a lot of flexibility, so we can really use our imagination and create great ways to engage with people, like we're doing now through my video project, Inspiring Careers. But what would you say to anyone who's really struggling with access? And you don't have to give away specific strategies or anything, but just to get people going, if they've gone, as you said, either they're resisting change and they've gone back to kind of old ways of doing things. What would you say to someone who's really struggling with access in that way?
I would say to them, don't give up. I would say start to use your imagination, as you guys do. There are ways and means. Your customers that you have access to will help you, provided they respect you, provided you're supporting them towards solutions for them. They will help you. And also start to think about how potentially you can use any budget that you have creatively. I can think of examples of sales executives who are creating innovative meetings alongside their customers, and thereby attracting a load of, let's call them, supposedly inaccessible customers to those meetings. So use your imagination, be resilient, talk to your customers that you can access, because they've got ideas as well. And what you tend to find is there's a ripple effect. You only have to basically kick one innovative meeting off. And if you're shown to be professional and you're providing value to these people, and they go away from that meeting that, feeling that they've got something from it, the word spreads out, and you're on a roll. I've seen it happen. It's happening just now, and you have to keep creating change. Keep coming back to that phrase. Don't let the barriers. The barriers are there for a reason. And in many cases in pharma, the reason the barriers are there is because of the way that pharmaceutical industry has operated over the last 10, 15, 20 years. We haven't brought as much value to the customer as we should have done. And now we need to change that. And it's happening. Once they see the value, the door's open.
Brilliant. And as you said, it's about imagination. The doors the barriers, I should say, are there for a reason. But I'm guessing a lot of people just aren't willing to play a kind of patient game about it. Because you talked about the ripple effect. So if you're going to use that imagination, if you're going to be innovative, it's not to try it once and then say, well, that didn't work, so let's just go back to the old ways. You play a bit of a long game, play a bit of at least a little bit of patience with it, before just reverting back to kind of your comfort zone in a way. Would you agree?
Oh, absolutely. And I think, some projects that you can set up can be quite exciting. They take a lot of work. They also take a lot of what we would call stakeholder management. You want to get your senior managers involved in it. You want to work across different functions like market access, like marketing, medical, and get them involved in the real challenging projects that are going to open up the barriers to access and whatnot. So, the word team has never been so important in pharma than it is now. And it's not just the sales team, it's the team right across the different functions as well. So all I can say is, from personal experience, getting involved in those projects are time consuming. There's lots of hurdles, but at the end of the day, they can be very exciting for both yourself and the customer, and ultimately for patients as well. That's what true key account management is about.
Brilliant. Great advice. Okay, so in a second, I'm going to go into what I call the quick fire round, but I just got one more question I want to ask. And it's just your general opinion, really. Having worked with lots of salespeople, having seen lots of performance coaching techniques and written about them, and probably worked with a few and networked with many as well, I want to ask you, what is the key difference between someone who makes a good performance coach and someone who makes a great performance coach?
The great performance coaches listen more than they talk. They only give advice when the coachee is stuck, and they give that advice for them to move on. Doesn't matter how successful they've been in the past, the approach that they will take with people is to draw out what the individuals actually want to do themselves. So great coaches listen, they inspire, but they also direct at the right time.
Brilliant. Thank you for sharing that. Okay, Alan, we're going to go into now what I call the quick fire round, where we're just going to learn a bit about yourself through some quick answer questions, the first thing that comes to your mind. So, Alan, are you ready to play the quick fire round?
Okay, go for it.
Brilliant. Let's get into it. Okay, Alan, quick fire round. Question 1. What is your favourite movie?
Favourite what?
Movie.
Oh, yep. Arsenic and Old Lace.
Brilliant. I've not actually heard of that.
Yeah, Cary Grant, fantastic, hilarious.
I'll have to keep an eye out for that. What has been your favourite holiday?
I love going to the Algarve, to the quieter bits of the Algarve in Portugal.
Cool, fantastic, beautiful. What has been the most influential book, and you can't say your own, what has been the most influential book in your career?
Most influential book. I would say my old coach and mentor, Dr. John Mulligan, wrote a personal development book, which I can't remember the name of, but there was just some fantastic insights into it. The Personal Effectiveness Handbook, Dr. John Mulligan.
Cool. So look out for that book then. As I said, it inspired Alan, so I don't doubt it inspired others. What's been your favourite song of all time?
Always looking the bright side of life.
Fantastic. Monty Python. Yes. Okay, so last question. What is your favourite thing to do outside of work?
I'm a rugby fanatic.
Of course. You still play?
No, crikey, I'm 58, for goodness sake. The mind is willing, the body's broken. No, I'm more of a spectator these days. I'll watch my local club, plus a club I was a member of, or still am a member of in Glasgow. And I do some mentorship work with the University of Glasgow. So rugby is my favourite hobby. Although I have to say at this point, my family's very important to me.
Of course. No, thank you for sharing that, Alan. All right, that brings us to the end of the quickfire round. And I've just got one more question, which I ask at the end of all our videos. What is the final piece of advice that you would give to anyone watching out there who is working as a performance coach? What's the one thing that you really want them to take away from today?
The one thing, measure your success and shout about it.
Brilliant. And how and in today's world, how would they shout about it? I mean, as I said, you wrote a fantastic book. You've written blog articles and things like that. Would you advise doing the same, or has there been anything in particular where you've seen and you thought, yes, that's a great platform to do this, or that's a great idea to shout about your success?
I think the challenge for all training and development professionals and coaching professionals is that a lot of the time the good work that these guys do isn't recognised in the final result in terms of the sales coming in. And I think sometimes coaches and trainers have to turn around and say, do you know what, if we hadn't done that intervention with that individual, then the sales wouldn't have come through. And they need to shout about it, because a lot of the time, if you're a great coach, the person you're coaching is coming up with the answers themselves.
Yep.
And in many respects, they see that they've done it, and senior management sees that the sales executive's done it. What they don't often see is the intervention that the sales manager or the sales coach has had with that individual in order for them to be successful. So sometimes, you know, sales managers and sales coaches have to stand up and say, oi, by the way, if this hadn't happened, that end result wouldn't have happened. So it's about standing up for themselves. And when you're not getting recognised, perhaps a couple of two fingers in the eyes of some people might help.
Cool. Brilliant. Thank you so much for sharing such great advice today, Alan. It's been absolutely wonderful having you as a guest on another episode of Inspiring Careers. If anyone is interested in becoming a performance coach or would like to advance their skills, I said Alan has written a fantastic book here called The Successful Coaching Manager. Alan, if anyone has any questions about what they've heard today, are they more than welcome to connect with you on LinkedIn and just drop you a message and ask anything about what they've listened to? Would that be okay?
Oh, perfect. Yeah, absolutely. Open to anyone giving me a call or contacting me through LinkedIn, and I can help them out where needed.
Brilliant. So as I said, if you're thinking of becoming a performance coach, because I know a lot of salespeople who I've been speaking with have said, where do they move on to next in their career? And this is an area that definitely interests a lot of people. You're more than welcome to connect with Alan on LinkedIn and ask him a question. Or if you're currently in that role and you want to have a chat and, as I learn a bit more from Alan, do connect with him on LinkedIn and drop him a message. Likewise, you can always connect with me and I can pass on the message to Alan as well, or you can leave a comment below in this video. But as I said, for a copy of this book, I will leave a link to the Amazon place on Amazon where you can buy the book just in the description below. So I said you can get that directly from this video. But once again, Alan, thank you so much for being a great guest on this show. Anyone watching, please do like, subscribe, little red box, just below this video alone that says subscribe to this channel. Do share the video. And again, we'll see you on another episode of Inspiring Careers. Thanks again, Alan.
Thank you, Dan. Best of luck.
Cheers. Bye.